Namaha. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dhanavat Pranam devotees, all glories to Srila Gurudev, all glories to the Prabhupada, all glories to Arupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnavas. So today is a Q&A day, but I did have some questions that had been sent in, which I did not get a chance to do Facebook question and answers. So I'll answer some of those questions here, because then perhaps if we post this particular session, because we're not speaking about anything that's not postable, if that's a word, then the questions could be answered via that medium. And also it gives devotees who don't get a chance to come on to the Zoom, who've asked me about it, a chance to actually hear the class that goes on here. So first, also, from a mundane point of view, so to speak, happy Father's Day to all fathers, grandfathers, stepfathers, father figures, and mentors, because that is an important element in the social fabric. And Bhagavad Gita has mentioned that Arjuna had some worry that by killing off the male participants who were taking part in the Battle of Kurukshetra, it would take away an essential feature of the family. And that by doing that, it would lead to Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara means unwanted population. So this is a very serious consideration, that actually the basis of how the world is created is also for the service of Bhagavan. And so every aspect of every element of the social fabric is really designed as Daivi Varnashram. Daivi Varnashram means all the various categories of Varnashrama, which means Varna means like a classification or a particular occupation. And ashram means a status of life. Like if you're prior to marriage, your married life perhaps in a stage of subsequent renunciation after being married, and then finally a full state of renunciation. So anyways, the entire social fabric is designed to accommodate serving God, which is the objective of the social ideal. It's to serve God. So the family unit is built around that. The family unit is built around the ability to serve God in a number of ways. One is it sets the standard of how serving God is done. So the model of the ideal womanhood, ideal manhood, all of these things are established for the service of God. And coming together, a man and woman create the basis for a family. And one of the essential functions of a family is the ability to facilitate the coming of souls into the world. So the idea of marriage is not enjoyment in the mundane sense, because it's not like spiritual life doesn't have enjoyment. In Bhagavad Gita as well, it's mentioned, pratyakshvagamam dharmyam shushukam karatum avyayam. So this verse in Sanskrit means that the practice itself of spiritual life, susukam karatayam. Susuk means that it's very joyfully done. It's a happy thing. It's not that the performance of spiritual life is a kind of suffering or something, and we're giving up material enjoyment to accept some kind of suffering. So that's not it at all. Actually, spiritual life is full of happiness. It's just that the consciousness has to be raised in order to appreciate it. So in the material world, sometimes we call something an acquired taste, right? Like I know for me, let's say bitter melon, which is a particular type of vegetable. It was an acquired taste, but now I have a happy taste, if that's proper, for bitter melon. I realize how healthy it is for one, but also the flavor profile or whatever has become something that's palatable for me. So in the same way, not in all ways, but the simile carries in the sense that in order to appreciate spiritual life, the consciousness has to also be raised so that we can taste how spiritual life is full of happiness. And therefore, there's not a sense of having become void of something or missing something or lacking something or not getting happiness in some way by not fully engaging in mundane or material life. So in grihastha life, and the word grihastha means, griha means a house, and the word sta means to be situated. So to be situated in home life with a family, one of the essential functions, again, as I mentioned, is to be able to facilitate the entrance of souls into the world. This doesn't mean the souls are created because souls are eternal. It means within their cycle, karmically, they end up coming into different situations which become suitable for their elevation. So especially for those who are spiritual families, right, they facilitate an environment in which those who are ready to progress more in their spiritual sojourn, they arrange the environment that's suitable for them to come into for that purpose, right? So the nature of family is very important, and this includes mothers and fathers. So one of the unfortunate things about contemporary social dynamics is that there's almost a concerted effort to break up the family unit, right? And in breaking up the family unit, what it leads to, which is what Arjuna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, because in the battle at Kurukshetra, so many of the fathers, husbands, grandfathers, mentors would be killed in this battle, that one of his arguments was that, well, this will lead to Vanasankara, or the creation of an unwanted population. So what he meant by that was that now the dynamics of male-female relations will become corrupted, and there'll be the abuse of women because they won't have protection of husbands and so forth, so on. And even the daughters will be, so it just leads to a social dynamic in which now it facilitates, rather than elevated souls taking birth, those who are attracted to environments where there's darkness, ignorance, and all these things, evil tendencies, that atmosphere is provided. Because actually, when a man and woman come together, their mutual consciousness is what creates the atmospheric conditions that attract a particular soul. It's not random. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's clearly mentioned, Karmana Daivana Natrena Janto Dehopapatye Stri Uttrapraveshta Pumsam Reta Karanasaya, that the act of procreation, Pumsam Reta Karanasaya and Stri Uttrapravesh, means that the Atma enters into a particle of the male fluid and enters into the womb of a woman. So this is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then the preceding part of the shlok, or the verse says, Karmana Daivana Natrena, based on their karma, and Daivana Natrena means on their aspirations. So for those who have aspirations for spiritual things, enlightenment, the atmosphere provided by spiritual families is what they're looking for. If that becomes more rare, it creates rarity in the opportunity for those kind of souls to find a place to take birth, right? On the other hand, if you have so much degraded life, it attracts souls that have that kind of consciousness. Just like in the story in Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, it is a lila of Jai and Vijay, and the story of Kashyapa Muni and Diti, that because their dealings were at an inappropriate time under inappropriate conditions, it attracted the consciousness that would become Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakasipu, like this. You understand? Of course, it's a lila, but it's also an upakyan, means a teaching that we can garner from it. That if we have the wrong consciousness, we attract souls who will be favorable or attracted to that kind of consciousness. So it's very important that, you know, on the material acknowledgement of fathers and fatherhoods, or the material acknowledgement on Mother's Day of mothers, that we realize the value of these things in service to Bhagavan. Because everything, Riteyatam Yat Pariyeta Na Pariyeta Chatmani, right? If anything has any artha, means of value, it has to be valued in relationship to service to God. Other than that, it has no real value. This is one of the 4 core verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, that anything that has any real value is substantively valuable because of its relationship to God and the ability to serve God. So we should keep that in mind, that while we are acknowledging fatherhood on this day, that how important it is to represent the true meaning of fatherhood. And that's to raise your own consciousness in such a way that you raise the consciousness of your individual family, right? And then that family raises the consciousness of a community. The community conscious is raising the consciousness of the collective communities, which is a nation and the world, et cetera, et cetera. So you can follow the chain of thought like that. So again, happy Father's Day to all fathers, stepfathers, grandfathers, mentors, etc. And of course, the ultimate father for all of us is the spiritual master. And so we honor the spiritual master not every day, but at every second of every day, because we know that our existence without the mercy of the spiritual master for those who are traversing the spiritual path is everything, right? Without the mercy of the spiritual master, Yashat Prasada, Bhagavat Prasado, Yashat Prasadan, Nagati Kutopi. So gati means a goal. Without the prasad or mercy of Guru, that goal can't be obtained. What to speak of any goal? We can't even get free from the mundane ignorance if we don't have mercy of Guru, right? So that's the first acknowledgement. There was also one major question, and then I'll answer that question here, and then I will open the forum for us to have questions and answers, which is what we do every now and then on our Sunday Istagosti here. So the question came, does the Jivatma choose their relationship with Bhagavan, or is the relationship predestined, or is it a question of something already existing, and by the nature of that already existing relationship, it just unfolds and that's it. There's no choice or anything else. So actually, if we study Sastra carefully and the teachings of our Guru Varga, it is actually an intersection of factors that creates how the rasa of the jiva unfolds. One, and I explained this many times on our phone conference, but there is a generic potential in every jiva to obtain service to God. This is called Nitya, Krishna Nitya Das, the eternality of being a servant of Bhagavan. One verse that also speaks to this, Dasabhuti Haryeva Nanyasha Eva Kadachana. So the reason this verse is also important because it says Nanyasha Eva Kadachana, that constitutionally, meaning in our very essential nature, you can't be anything but the servant of God. Everything else that we're perceiving ourselves to be through many lifetimes is actually the presentation of ignorance on the chitta and a vicarious identification with it. It's nothing more than that. The essential nature of the Atma is described in scriptures. There's 21 essential qualities that Jiva Goswami Pad pointed out. In Chandogya Upanishad, 8 qualities are pointed out. I'm not going into each one of them because it would take up the bulk of our class. But essentially, the Atma has its own qualities. It has nothing to do with the material world and material ignorance and material qualities. Those qualities that are there in the Atma are organically, fully resonant, has resonance with the spiritual energy. So though the full spiritual energy is not present in the soul, in the Atma, the natural relationship of the Atma with spiritual energy or internal energy of God is there. Now, so everybody has this generic potential to obtain service to God. Now, that potential takes on specificity once we come into alignment with particular spiritual arrangements, right? So I'm using it broadly here because if someone, let's say, takes up the practice of Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, or takes up any other practice, right? They're also moving on the path to God. And that path has a certain kind of ultimate goal, so to speak, that is the accomplishment of that particular path. If one takes up the path of Gyan or yoga, without bhakti as the central ingredient. In fact, no dharmic or upadharmic practice, means any religious practice at all, can be void of some element of bhakti, right? I don't care what you practice, you require some kind of devotion to it. And you also require faith, which is the manifest form of showing some kind of devotion, right? So everything requires some kind of devotion. So if one is practicing, let's say, Gyan or yoga, right? Then their goal may be just realization of themselves as separate from the material energy. Expanding that more, someone may be practicing jnana yoga, which are more elevated forms of practice per se than just our regular faith-based generic practices that acknowledge there's a God. That will help us to understand dasatwa, or being the servant of God. But in most cases, it's also permeated by personal aspirations. So now that I acknowledge that God is everything and I'm God's servant, well, God, then can you please provide me with a nice house, nice family, nice car, nice job, etc. And after I die, since I realize I have to die, can you make sure all these arrangements go on in perpetuity in heaven or someplace, right? So this is called upadharmic considerations in religion, because they're bringing one closer to actual Sanatan Dharma, but means eternal function of the Atma, which is serving God, but they're still overcome by material energy in the sense of the impressions of material energy, right? When one comes to the platforms of Gyan and yoga, there's more of a detachment from the material energy, but there's still not a laser focus on how I will serve God. There's still self-interest of, may I get free from all the sufferings of the ignorance and material energy and establish myself in a position of enjoyment that will also go on in perpetuity because it's void of any material problems, ignorance, material bodies, etc., etc. Higher than that is the aspiration, of course, to serve God, right? And the highest, moving on quickly, the highest aspiration is stated in the verse, Anya Abhilasita Sunya, right? To serve God, void of any personal consideration or any personal agenda, and only Anukulena Krishna Anusilam, and only for the Anukul. Say Anukul means favorable. The word Anukul means happiness of God, right? Only for that pleasure will I serve. Now, the only way that can happen is if the basis of it, the foundation of it is love, because love gives you the ability to do something truly selflessly. Anything else has some contingent of personal interest in it. That's why in the material world it's mentioned. Kaitavam rahitam prema, na premam nushloke. In the material world is not really prema, or the real substance of love, because everyone has some self-interest in their connections, whether they're fraternal, parental, conjugal, whatever it is, there is some degree of self-interest there. I want to marry that person because I have some good feeling with them, and vice versa. The children, they're my children, they give me a sense of enjoyment, and the children, these are my parents. So there's some self-interest in all those situations. So only when we come to the highest degree of spiritual pursuit do we talk about something being void of any self-interest. Anya Abhilas, right? No self-interest, sunya, right? So this is the highest thing, and this service is based on love. So bhakti is like that. The true practice of bhakti is based on that premise. So now, when a person's potential takes some specificity because they come in the line of pure bhakti, right? At that time, there is more of a focused idea of how I want to serve God. Because now also there's a recognition of the personal feature of God. So now there's more of a conscious experience of serving because there's personality in the absolute. So yeah, I, as a person, want to serve the absolute person who's God. Now, according to what level of unfoldment we've obtained, because every jiva is individual and different. Nobody is standing at the same, that we didn't all start at the same place, and we're not all in the same place at any given time, because the jiva is eternal and the unfoldments have been eternal. So our Goswamis have mentioned praktana aduniki chasti yasyat bhakti vasana. The word bhakti vasana means like an impression, and praktan means from previous lives. Adunik means in this life. So the combination of impressions from previous lives and impressions one is receiving right now, the specificity around your service to God starts to unfold at the time that you receive initiation from Guru. Then embedded in the mantras that are received at that time is an actual specificity of service. that specificity of service that's embedded in the mantra sets the table for what is called Sambandha Gyan. Now, the word Sambandha Gyan, Sambandha means creating a relationship with something, right? Sambandha Gyan means knowledge of a particular type of relationship with God. Does it mean that what I receive is actually my relationship? That will have so much to do with where you are in your unfoldment. Because you can receive initiation from Guru and not really have been in the stage of unfoldment in which the mantras you receive fully manifest their illumination. That's why it's mentioned after receiving initiation, you may have to, and in most cases, this is what happens, you'll need to receive siksha in the mantra. Now, the same person who gave you initiation may be that person who performs the function of giving you instruction. It's called shiksha. Or it may be someone else. Just like there may be many people who took initiation from my Gurudev or from our Srila Prabhupada or from any other Guru, right? At the time of their unfoldment, they had a very deep interest to serve Krishna, to serve Bhagavan. But their maturation and their samskars in bhakti were not of a level where they could digest whether or not what was given in the mantra illuminated their own actual rasa, or whether it was the generic teaching that's coming in our line. In our line, the basic teaching is Manjari Bhav. That is the teaching in the line. But anyone who practices in this line, whatever in the stage of ruchi, and I'm coming to that just now, whatever actually has manifested clearly as their natural organic serving mood towards Krishna will come out by that practice. Even if the mantra is dedicated towards the ideal of Manjari Bhav, if you have parental mood of service, fraternal mood of service, dasya, servitude, it will come out in the stage at which your heart can accommodate that illumination. It will not come out prior to that. Prior to that stage, the very nature of being the das of Krishna will tend to be illuminated by whom you're associating with. So don't confuse this, because our Gurudev has often mentioned that the actual rasa, nitya rasa, eternal rasa of a jiva can't be changed by association. But that's meaning once you have one. It doesn't mean in the stage in which you've not realized a particular sthai bhav or rasa yet. It means when that is realized, it can't be changed by any kind of association. And then Srila Gurudev and Acharya is going to give many examples that Murari Gupta in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes was Hanuman in Ram Leela. And therefore, even though he was associating with many devotees in different rasas, his own core rasa or relationship with Lord Ram could not be changed. So Gurudev and our Acharyas give several examples like that. But every example they give is of someone who has an established rasa, not those who are unfolding and haven't quite realized they rasa yet. For those persons, Gurudev has directly told that what will happen is in the association of particular Vaishnavas, the illumination of their pure mood will illuminate in your heart. And when you come to the stage, and I'm going to describe it just now, the second part of ruchi, going into a sakti. And if anyone here does not understand these gradations, you just have to bear with me and take some time. Everything is not gathered in a day, right? But just stay the course here, and gradually understanding gets deeper and deeper in this particular process, right? I'm also unfolding. As I'm speaking, I'm also trying to learn and understand more. So we're all sharing here, right? So in the second stage of ruchi, it is mentioned by Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha, Tasya tatra tadrisa surakaraka basa sumalasita ridoya spatika mani. So let me explain the first part first. So here he's saying, Tasya tadrisa sudakaraka bhas. So sudakaraka bhas means a shadow, just like if you have somebody standing near you and their shadow can be touching you, right? They may not be touching you, but their shadow is touching you, right? Because a shadow is connected to a substance. So here in this stage, it's saying that when there's enough evolution in the consciousness of a jiva, at that time, the shadow of an actual mood of an actual eternal associate comes on the chitta. So let me give a more pictorial example. If you were laying down on the beach and you were feeling the sunshine, and all of a sudden somebody came and stood right over you, you would immediately perceive that the sun you were experiencing has been dissipated because their shadow is now being cast where the sun was coming down on you. You understand? So though they haven't touched you, you can appreciably experience there's a change in things. Suddenly that sun I was feeling is not there because the shadow is now being cast. In the same way, on your chitta, right, which all material elements previously were reflecting on the chitta and we were identifying with them, now an actual shadow of the mood of an actual eternal associate. Someone like Mother Yashoda, Marsnanda, Subal, Sridham, Lalita Visakha, but especially in our line, Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, will actually impress on the chitta, a shadow, not the substance itself. At that time, it does become clear to that jiva, my ruchi, because the next line says, Tasya Tadrasa Sudakarakabasa Sumulasita Ridwa Spatikamani. So also the word Spatikamani means a crystal. So it means the heart has become clear now and is capable of capturing the reflection of a particular eternal associate, right? Ridwa Spatikamani, Ragatmakaya Bhakti Pratipatisu Api Ruchi Jayate. So it says here, Pratipatisu means like something that is obtained. So when this is obtained, this shadow of the mood of an eternal associate, api ruchi jayate, it causes the upsurge of a particular desire, completely, absolutely, without doubt, I want to serve Krishna like that. So now here's where the answer to the question comes in. Is that my desire, or is it coming from inspiration? Coming from the eternal associate? It's an intersection of the two. So it's not a complete thing that even in my material life right now, well, I want to serve Krishna like this. No, whatever aspiration I have was originally based on the idea of serving Krishna, period. I'm a servant of God. I want to be engaged in the service of God. And the Guru gives the basis of that. It's called Krishna Seva Vasan. Now in my maturation, there is a inspirational unfoldment, which in most cases will be related to the Guru whom you're aligned with. Because almost it's not accidental whom we get as Guru, right? And Guru here is going to mean the prominent Guru personality, because you may have taken initiation from someone and either due to our own level of maturation or the level of maturation of that Guru, this mood could not be fully accomplished, right? So whether it's a situation of Diksha or Shiksha, the Guru who's able to inspire that feature of your desire to serve Krishna in the mood that they have, right? That is when both are mature, and that's not random. So it wouldn't be an accident that I got a particular Guru who has this mood, right? But that's not universal because, again, go back to what I said earlier, the aspirant may not yet be mature. So they may have come in contact with a pure high-class devotee who's in Manjari Bhav, but they themselves have not matured yet. Therefore, though that Guru is in Manjari Bhav, it doesn't actually mean they also have Manjari Bhav. That will have to come out in the unfoldment. So now in the mature level of unfoldment, that particular mood of that eternal associate reflects my shadow in the heart and my absolute desire, I want to serve in that mood. That intersection takes place of the inspiration and of the desire. So it's not exclusively based on my desire, nor is it based on God just saying, well, I want you to do this, period. There's no choice on your part. There's an intersection of two things. Your desire is inspired, right? Just like anything in the material world even. I desire to be a musician because I heard music, I got inspired, I want to play music. I saw a particular athlete and I desired to want to be like that athlete, so I got inspired in a particular sport or business or any field, right? So in the same way, internally, when we come to a level of maturation, we pick up the inspiration coming from a particular eternal associate, and having now the potency, having been given by Sri Guru in the form of that mantra, it illuminates that particular mood. And therefore my service now from this stage of Ruchi going into a Shakti, as the word of Shakti means complete like absorption. And then finally with the descent of the actual internal energy on the Chitta, which crystallizes all of these feelings and turns them into actual forms, names, et cetera, that is how bhakti is accomplished in a particular mood of service, right? So hopefully that was a full enough answer to that question. Is it our desire, or is it predetermined already, or is it Bhagavan telling us what we're going to do? So there's an intersection of things, as I described. As we mature, we first just want to serve Krishna. As we mature, a particular inspiration of service becomes mature. The potency given by Guru Dev and mantra, then its efficacy exerts its influence on that aspiration, both for service and particular service. Then in our maturation in the stage of Ruchi, the Abbas means the shadow of a particular associate, reflects on the Chitta, giving rise to a definitive desire for service in that mood. Then when the spiritual potency of Swarup Shakti descends on the Chitta, it crystallizes all of that, and a particular body, spiritual name, et cetera, unfolds, right? So hopefully that was the answer to that question. And now, having used up a lot of time, but we still have time left, we can either, if anybody has a question about this or anything else we've spoken, or any questions, it does not have to be on this topic. So, and I want to be mindful because we've been running kind of late. I don't mind, but I know other people have things and so forth, so I don't want to be inconsiderate as well. So we can, anybody who has a question about anything now at this point, if you can start with this topic, it's good, or previous topic, but if not, we can just open up in general.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dhanpadam.
Hare Bol, Vinay Prabhu.
Prabhuji, when we say the intersection of inspiration, can we is also kripa? Like I always think about the when Gurudev gave an example, like when Krishna, we want to bind Krishna, we need two things. One is kripa and our endeavor. Like the thing is, these two things need to be there to bind the Lord. Same thing here. When we are talking about the inspiration and the desire, is the same thing. Is like we need to get the inspiration of kripa of Guru or Bhagwan or the Lord, as well as your desire, your endeavor. So that's how you can get like the bhakti. Is that the right analogy we can use, or?
Yes, in the sense that the kripa is like your endeavor, and the kripa of Guru are the two railroad tracks that our train of aspiration is moving on. So that's consistent, even from the time we simply want to begin to understand who we are. Right? As soon as you ask the question, who am I? Why am I here? Then that is called mati, and that is the bij, like Guru Krishna Prasade Poi, Bhakti, Lata, bij. So two things are mentioned here. We often take it as one thing, but Lata and a bij are mentioned. So the bij is mati. It's the arising in the heart by the mercy of Sadhu Guru to question my existence. Well, who am I and why am I here? There got to be more than this, right? There must be something besides this material. That's called the bij, that's mati. Then the reaction to understanding that there is more than just this material world is now I want to take a course of action in pursuance of the alternative. That's called Krishna Seva Vasan. That's the lata, that's the creeper. Both of those are based on both the endeavor, right? The desire on our part, and the creeper of Guru. So these two railroad tracks sustain the train of our moving forward in our aspiration towards pure bhakti. So your analogy is good.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Dandavad Pranam, Mukunda Prabhu. I was, pardon me if you already covered this. I was in the middle of an offering, but I'm just wondering if the original motivation or inspiration to that starts us on any one path toward a certain Ras? Is
Mhm.
that by chance, or is that because they speak about chance as far as the jiva falling off the blade of a knife, jiva as a mustard seed falling off of a blade of a knife going this way or that way.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering, the guru and the jiva come together, and the guru nourishes certain things in the jiva to make his relationship fixed. But how is that determined that you could have been anything? You could have been in any of those relationships, but yet you have one, and then in time it will be nourished and it will be strong and it will be unbreakable. How is it that you even have one?
Yeah, so a lot of that was kind of covered, but in a synopsis, in a very short way, the jiva has a generic potential for serving Krishna. It does not have specificity. When they meet Guru, then some specificity starts to manifest. But another component is required. One is the Guru, of course, but the other one is the maturation of the aspirant. Not everybody is in the mature stage when they are bhakti sukritis. It means I took some prasadam, I heard Harinam, something happened. Then in that life, I got an epiphany and decided to try to take up spiritual life or take up the practice of bhakti. I came to the temple 6 months later, or whatever, they recommended Harinam, or 6 months after that, they recommended Diksha. It does not necessarily mean I was in a position in my unfoldment to have digested what was received by Guru, et cetera, et cetera. At that point, my desire to serve Krishna has just been enhanced in a generic way. And if the Guru is actually realized soul, then the potency given in the seed of the mantras has the ability, as I'm unfolding, to crystallize and manifest the actual nature of a rasa that I have, which will come about when I reach the stage of ruchi. You understand? Right now, what we have is Krishna Das. When I start to come to the stage of ruchi, that dasatwa will be influenced by an eternal associate. Then it becomes particularly important that the mantras I received from Guru, which gave a generic kind of Sambandha Gyan and serving Krishna, right? Even though the Sambandha Gyan given by the Guru is specific to his mood, right? It has the power to illuminate our mood. You understand?
And where do we get our mood from?
Your mood, I'm explaining. So your mood comes from as you're unfolding in bhakti through the stages. When you come to a Shakti, at that time, the material influences are cleared away. When the material influences are cleared away, and a bhas of a Nitya Siddha Bhav in the heart of an eternal associate reflects on your chitta. Then paripatisu api ruchi jayate. Then in your heart, a ruchi for that particular type of service crystallizes. I don't mean in form, but becomes, this is what I want to do. I've always wanted to serve Krishna, but here it's clear. Up until that point, you're cultivating a desire based on the association with your Guru. My Guru Dev is in Manjari Bhav. So my Guru Dev is always speaking very sweet Gita about Manjari Bhav. But let's say, I'm going to give a perfect example. Our Srila Prabhupada certainly was high-class pure devotee. If you ask a number of devotees right now, what is your aspirational Ross? Many will know, but a lot of people, I just want to serve Krishna. Krishna, Ram, the Sringa, it's all Krishna, it's all Bhagavan. So even the nature of real Sambandha Gyan has not set in yet. What to speak of a particular Ras? But they are on the path of bhakti. Many who came to Gurudev is always speaking Manjari Bhav, but they picked up the same thing. Oh, I just want to serve Krishna, and so they're not completely in a mature stage to have a particular specific focus on a mood of service yet. The idea is I want to serve Krishna purely, anya abhilasita sunya, void of any personal desire. Now, If the devotee by their bhakti sanskars are mature, when they take diksha, at that time, because of their maturation in bhakti, what is given to them by Gurudev illuminates their actual mood. So there's an intersection here of the maturation of the aspirant, the nature of the guru, and the nature of the unfoldment of the aspirant. If the aspirant has come to the stage of ruchi, they can then appreciate when they hear the mantra from Gurudev, yes, I'm in Manjari Bhav, and they can go on to cultivate that. If the average person, you know what people remember most about their initiation? The event, for a lot of people. There was a lot of people there, it was nice prasadam, it was a great kirtan, it was on April 4th, 1994, and I had the little black dot on my head, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that they remembered, you know, Gurudev told me the mantra and what was the meaning of the mantra. Ask anybody for their mantra dhyan. Hey, Prabhuji, so I know, you know, you took initiation in 1987. So what was your mantra dhyan? Ask. So we can't talk about a particular kind of rasa, which is composed of a sthai bhav, and people don't even know what they heard.
Right.
That's actually a tendency towards sahajavad. You understand? So another thing, the speaking of the jivas falling on a knife blade, Gurudev was already told, this is a narrative for people who can't digest the fullness of the Siddhanta yet. Because if you don't understand Jiva Tattva in a deep way, you listen, some people went to spiritual world, some people came to material world, we know that's a fact. How did they come here? Well, just like mustard seeds falling on the blade of a knife. Some fell this side, some fell that side. Like if you, a 7-year-old, no, not 7 now, because people, their soul minds are so developed. If a 4-year-old asks you, you know, mommy, where do babies come from? You're getting ready to explain the whole adult interactions of how children are produced? Or we're telling, oh, children are a blessing from God. God gives everybody babies. So the statement has truth in it, but it's a narrative accommodated by a 4-year-old. I'm not going to explain adult interactions to a 4-year-old. In the same way, and Gurudev has an article, which I have in my notes now to help with all this, Gurudev clearly says, all Siddhanta is not for all persons. It depends on their maturation. The reality is there's only 2 classes of existence of a jiva. They're eternally liberated or from time without beginning, bound in the material world. So there is no question of falling on a knife blade.
Okay, and all right. So when it comes to an immature jiva who has no connection yet with any ras, any high class of guru who can start to give him that ras or start to inspire him
One second,
in any particular ras.
Hi, Bo, Diddy, 1 second. I just want to clear something. Also, Guru does not give ras to the disciple. Gurudev has
He inspires her?
He has Swarup Shakti.
No.
So Gurudev, by their eternal mood, they give Swarup Shakti, which their mood is composed of, as a power. This is the Kripa that Vinay Prabhu talked about. That Swarup Shakti, they're giving in the heart through Harikatha, through initiation, to the heart of the disciple. The creation, the manifestation of a ras is coming from Swarup Shakti. This is what Gurudev means also by the Guru cannot change the ras. Let's say when your ruchi arises, you have ruchi in Sakya Rasa. Gurudev is in Manjari Bhav. But Gurudev has said, even I can't change that. Because it's manifested from Swarup Shakti. It's not being given by Guru. He's not picking out rasas. This is a whole secret to why Bhaktivinoda Thakur pushed back against the Jat Gosai, means the quote, traditional pariwars. It means those who came in lines. I was born in the family of Nityananda, Advaita Acharya Gadadhar, because they used to say this. The only way for you to get a ras is you have to go to the Guru and the Guru gives you your rasa. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, no. The rasa is potentially already there in the jivan. It's born out by Harinam, by sadhana, and by the kripa of Sadhu Guru. He's not giving you a ras. He's giving you the influence of Swarup Shakti Swarup Shakti is giving you a Ras.
But is the Ross that's potentially there, it could be any of the Rosses until it's developed. So isn't it by chance that it's one Ross or another Ross eventually?
No, because there's an intersection. As you become mature, because you started out saying, I want to serve Krishna purely without any self-interest. Now that matures into, how are you going to serve? And in the unfoldment, there's an intersection between hearing how different devotees are serving, and then in your maturation, a particular mood in that ruchi becomes completely attractive to you.
Mhm.
The potency given by Gurudev of Swarup Shakti then crystallizes that kind of connection with that particular eternal mood. Then in a Shakti, there's an absorption in that mood that only awaits now for the mercy of the internal energy to descend and crystallize it. Hold on one second. My wife's asking a question. I'll repeat the question since everybody can't hear.
So, would it be, fair to say that the particular taste in the jiva is, influenced by karma and samskaras?
So she's asking, is the taste that's in the jiva influenced by karma and samskars? It's influenced by samskars, yes, meaning bhakti samskars, right? Because over the course of time, you've been associating with, I'm coming, Shamsundar, I see your hand. You've been associating with different Vaishnavas, and you're picking up bhakti samskars. When they all culminate together, just like when your material karma culminates together, it produces a particular kind of physical arrangement. A family you're born to, a country you're born to, everything. In the same way, your bhakti samskars, they accumulate around your aspiration to serve Krishna, and in maturation, they produce a certain outcome. So let me go to Sham, and then I'll come back and make sure Premvati Didi did everything was okay. Sham, because I don't want anybody to lose their train of thought.
Dandabad. Yeah, I was just on, like, when you had started that last conversation with Prema Didi, I remember that Guru Dev once explained, or he explained several times that he comes and Krishna gives some seeds to plant in the heart, and this is Krishna Seva Vasana.
Yes.
So and Gurudev has said so many times, Manjari Bhav, if you were not in Manjari Bhav, you would be in another rasa. I mean, I can't remember how he was saying it, but he was explaining that the fact that, you know, that we have come in this line, you know, that this is what's there.
Yeah, and also, but Gurudev has said, like I have lectures here now too, where Gurudev has specifically said that if someone in ultimately their constitutional Ross has something different, that won't be changed. Now, what he's saying is that if you take the odds, though, by bhakti samskars, you wouldn't end up in this position unless this was something that was destined for you.
Yes.
Right? But it's not clear until ruchi. So we cannot ascertain it until ruchi. That's why in ruchi, the guru examines the disciple. He doesn't do it when you come as a bhakta. When you show up the first time, Gurudev doesn't say, yeah, you're a manjari, and give you a name and everything, because that's not apparent. And Guru, though they have that capacity, somebody also brought this up. Well, Guru can see past, present, and future, so they can know what you are. Krishna also is omnipotent and omniscient, but he also can't carry the shoes of Nanda Baba. So because that potency is there, in the Leela, it doesn't mean it's used. So Gurudev will not use that potency of omniscience necessarily in his Acharya Leela. He will act in the Leela of an Acharya. So he will examine your ruchi at that time. Now, here's a good example in Jaiva Dharma. I'm coming at you, Nanda Prabhu. In Jaiva Dharma, when Sannyasi Thakur approached Babaji Maharaj, and Babaji Maharaj entered into his avesh, means his absorption, and he was doing seva. And at this time, Sannyasi Thakur was there. And he told, oh, silence that monkey Kakati. Your name is this, that, you're this manjari. On the other hand, Brajanath and Vijay, it took them so long in the company of Gopal Guru Goswami to come to the point where he asked them, oh, so what is your taste? What do you feel when you hear Hari Kata? So what was the difference between the two?
One had unfolded much more in his journey toward finding his particular.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sannyasi Thakur was already liberated. And when he came into the association of a Vaishnav, he was already liberated. He had no material influence, so everything immediately clicked on to him. So therefore, when he came into the presence of Babaji, Babaji could immediately see his Swarup. If you're not liberated, right? What's the question of Gurudev looking at you and looking at a Swarup? So Gurudev won't do that. Gurudev will see when you unfold in maturation, oh, now it's clear, like with Vijay Kumar and Brajanath. By hearing Hari Katha over the course of time and Bhakti Samskars over the course of time, your Ruchi has now come. And from the mantras you received at the time of Diksha, now that Shakti has exerted its influence, and now your taste in a particular mode of service has become clear, and I'm telling you now how to do bhajan to make it crystallize. Achyutananda Prabhu?
Yes, I dared to ask Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, can you tell me what is Prabhupada's rasa? And he
Closer to the stage of Ruchi, like this. All right, so we are getting bit, oh no, wow. We're not doing bad at all. So any other questions? This or any topic?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Oh, Dandavad, Ashididi.
So I was just thinking, we are always getting these questions that Gurudev is in Manjari Bhav and he is giving us Bhakti Lata Bees. Then how can one can become like mature in different ras, different ras. So actually, as the Adi ras is the Singar ras or Manjari Bhav ras, so that ras has a capacity to nourish all the rases.
Yes.
So even if our Gurudev, like is in Manjari ras and we are in Dasa ras or Vatsala ras or Sakya ras potential, which we do not know because we are covered right now, we are in the condition stage. So as soon as we start doing our sadhana, and as we keep associating with the Guru, or Guru keeps coming even in our heart and giving us some guidance, as the Gop Kumar story in Brihad Bhagavatam, Krishna was his Guru, and he keeps coming in his vision momentarily. And at last, when he reached there, Krishna is saying that I was waiting for you for a long time. You were not doing any good thing, any sukriti, so that I can help you. But as soon as you move towards this, and time and again, I keep coming, giving you little, because this is guidance that, okay, you have to keep continuing. So Gurudev, whether it is Siksha Guru or Diksha Guru or any higher Vaishnava association, is giving us boost up that, okay, your path is this, you go in this way. And even if their ras is Adi, like Singar ras or whatever ras, since that ras can nourish all the ras's potency in different jiva, and which is already revealed in Jabdaram, that the same person was giving teaching to Brajnath and Vijay Kumar too.
Yes.
And they were listening everything the same. But according to their potency, and when they became their sadhana matured, and when the Chit Shakti came and crystallizes, their Swarup was evident as Sakyaras and Manjari, like
Yes, you're right.
Manbajit. So I'm just saying that we should not have doubt that when Gurudev is saying that Gurudev is in Manjari Ras, and why one becomes, because like Adi Ras can nourish everything, and we
Yes.
all know. So if we cling to that, and we know what is in Brihad Bhagavatam, Krishna himself is saying, and even in Jabdaram, there is an example what has happened, and we keep working on our sadhana, whatever our potential is, one day it will reveal itself. We should
Yeah.
not worry about that.
Yes, yes, very true. Very good. Very good understanding.
No, very good understanding due to you. You have told Jiv that so many times. It has become PhD now. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for clearing so many doubts in the mind and coming little bit. Still, we are very neophyte and we need guidance.
Gurudev giving blessing. So
One question.
any other last questions, comments? We'll kind of end on time. Parvati Didi's always been very kind. You know, sometimes you don't realize she's running this thing and her own life also has to be in a balance here because she has things to do or something else. We get carried away with talking. She still has to host this. So we want to be a little mindful of that. So maybe we'll take a last question here. Okay, if not, let me see who can do.
Asha wanted to say something else, Mukunda. Let her
Oh.
fin-
Asha Didi, you were there?
I was reading Jagannath book and I will just read that paragraph and I want you to clarify a little bit. Sri Nam Sankirtan alone is the religious process of this age, Yug Dharma. One can achieve the ultimate perfection of Krishna Prem only through the performance of unalloyed cultivation of holy name, Sri Nam Bhajan. Cultivation of holy name does not even require any
I don't know what happened.
I understand what the question was going to be. She's saying that Harinam, it's written there, that Harinam is complete and that there's no necessity of any Purashcharya, means any like purificatory activities or even Diksha. Means Harinam is complete, you don't need Diksha even. So here, the statement is based on those who already have unfolded again to a level in which Harinam itself can manifest its own prabhav, means its own influence. For 99% of people, that's not the case. Right? For 99% of people, or 99.9% of people, the necessity to receive Harinam via the mode of Diksha is indispensable. Because even though because Harinam is Krishna itself, Daman Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, right? So Nam is Krishna himself, right? But we cannot resonate with that without the influence of Swarup Shakti giving us gradual unfoldment over time. That requires the beginning of that process, which is Diksha. That's why Rupa Goswami Pad wrote, in the very first elements of practicing bhakti, he wrote, Guru Padasraya, first approach a guru. Tata Diksha Shikshadi. Then take Diksha and Siksha. So both things are there, Diksha and Siksha, right? Then Vishwambena Guru Seva. Vishwambena Guru Seva means by the influence of understanding coming from those three things, Guru Padasraya, Diksha, and Siksha, you'll understand the internal nature of your Gurudev and be able to render Vishramba Seva. And then you can follow the path of our Guru Vargas, right? So without Diksha, it's almost impossible to understand the glory of Harinam because Harinam is not different from Krishna. So you cannot approach Krishna directly. That's been made very clear everywhere. So I think that was where the question was going in terms of Asha Didi's question. Okay. She must have hit the mute button by accident or something. Sham, you'll get the last word here.
Daji Dandabapanam. And this is a question, of course, like I said, again, I'm not trying to blow my own horn or anything, but I'm just going to ask like this because of what you said. It made some thoughts come into my mind, of course. I think I mentioned before how when we asked Srila Gurudev for Thakurji, he sent us to one brahmachari and he told us, that we should get, Sringar and Alankara and everything, and then Gurudev installed them and asked Gurudev about Mangalarti. And he explained it. And so I'm wondering if that's something that I should not speak about openly. Also, if, as you said, because that explains and speaks to what you were saying about like at different stages, Gurudev will say some things and tell some things. So I was wondering if that's something that I should not necessarily talk about,
The Rasa Tattva regarding the Mangalarti, certainly we could speak about, but the individual bhajan dhyan that's given by Gurudev, that we should not talk about. So because that's considered to be part of your bhajan siksha, right? Like Gurudev may personally tell you something. Like I remember it was a little controversial because you remember Gurudev told to Vishaka many things, right? Now, I think it was a Leela because I'm sure if it was absolutely not meant to get out, it would have never gotten out, right? But also when you really look at some of the things, a lot of it is also the Rasa Tattva of those things, about tilak, about how we're doing the upachar, the articles of offering, etc., right? But he told her in a mood like it was bhajan dhyan. In other words, here, this is what you can meditate on. So we want to be careful where we can speak Rasa Tattva about something. We don't also allow our own bhajan dhyan to slip in. Like I never speak about, either what Gurudev told at the time of Diksha, only the idea of establishing Sambandha Gyan, etc. But I don't say what he directly told us at the time. I also don't say whatever bhajan dhyan has come from Gurudev inspirationally or personally in conversation or anything like that, like what you should think, this, that, or how we should see Thakurji, unless there's something that's generic for everybody. Like I told a story about his seeing the Jagannath deities in the house of Pujapad Shanta Maharaj when Shanta Maharaj was in Grihastha life, and how he explained how to see things one pointedly, so how to reconcile the various Thakurjis that we may have, right? So like that. Because he would tell, well, if you have Jagannath, you have to have some perspective on why you be worshiping Jagannath. And there's no other reason except that Krishna's suffering in Dwarka, and in the mood of a Brijabasi, you want to bring him back from Dwarka. So you've gone to Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse to beg Krishna to come back. And then you entered Gaur Leela, where that was finally fulfilled, and you felt very happy. Because now in Gaur Leela, not only Krishna tasted his 3 desires, but Radhika also tasted the fulfillment of her desires. All the servants of Radhika tasted their desires, right? So in Gaur Leela, everybody's desires are fulfilled. That's why it's called also Adurja Leela. Because now Krishna didn't go back in Bhagavatam, but in Gaur Leela, he goes back to Braj. So Gaur Leela, for that alone, Gaur Leela is so wonderful that now Krishna himself understood. Krishna at some time, he was a little bit confused about love. He came and asked Radhika, what is love? This is called Prem Samput by Vishwanath Chakravarti. He doesn't even understand really what is love. He came and he asked Radhika in disguise. She explained everything about love, but he still couldn't get it. But he wanted to understand it. So he came in the mood of Mahaprabhu. And now in that mood, because he has some understanding, everything that Radhika desired takes place. Krishna comes back from Kurukshetra, via Kurukshetra, comes back. Grand Road is like Kurukshetra, but he's coming from Dwarka. And his mood of separation was manifest in the Anaswara, right? After the bathing after Snan Yatra, right? Because he gets sick. What is he sick from? Sick from separation. So then right after that is the Rath. And the chariots are composed of the heart and minds of Brijabasis. That's why they're so colorful, because all the moods of the Brijabasis are embedded in those chariots. And now those chariots are being pulled. How are they being pulled? By all Radhika Sevaks, right? Who by their heart energy connected to Radhika's are pulling Krishna back. Krishna himself is completely amazed because he's sitting in a prakosht observing this whole thing as Krishna. So his body has entered into the state of Mahabhav because he's looking at himself in the mood of Radhika and seeing this whole thing unfold. It's a very deep meaning to one verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is also in Vidagdha Madhava. Aparakalita yas chamatkarakari. I'll explain one day this verse. Deep thing, maybe an intensive. I'll explain. It's a very nice verse, but it's late now. Hey, Shyam Prabhu, just a little bit of kirtan. You had the last question. Just a little bit of kirtan to take us out.
Okay. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitya Gaura Haribo Haribo Nitya Gaura Haribo Gaura Premanandi.
Hari Bol. Also, devotees, I will try to get the schedule. I'm trying to figure out how to best get it out. I probably will ask Bhumi Pati Prabhu to help me with that. I'll make the schedule for the intensive, and I'll get it to Bhumi Pati, and he can email to everyone the intensive schedule, like the days, how it will work, and everything else. I'm still checking a few things for some of the evening programs, but I'll have the schedule printed out for arrival and getting situated in the class schedules and everything else. So I'll get it sent out. All right. Hari Bol, Dandavad,
Dandavad Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Tanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah.
Shri
Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bo, Hari Hari Bo.
Thank you.
Dandavad.
Dandavad Pranam.